Why does the culture hate Drake? And why won't his fans listen? What up, words? Your boy Charles Brown back again talking facts. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. Keep sending those Cashapp to CLBMG. Join the membership. Gang, listen. You know how somebody keeps trying to tell you something? Not necessarily you per se, but someone who is just kind of hard-headed. I said a few days ago that one day I may do a video, that it would take too long, but I may do it one day. I think today I decided it's Sunday. It's the perfect day to just take my time and slow cook this video of why the culture hates Drake. Before that battle even started, everyone knew that the culture hated Drake. And I want to talk to Drake and his fans right here. It's going to be brutal, and I'm going to be here for a while because this is not something you can do in a 10-minute YouTube video where you're just trying to get to the point really quickly. I know a lot of these guys that get the comments sometimes, why are these videos so long? Well, if you thought 25 minutes was long, this is going to blow your gasket. But I got to slow cook this because this is something in the making. And I know a lot of people have done a lot of videos, but some people are actually afraid to say some of the things that I might end up saying in this video just for fear of being maybe demonetized or something like that. I don't know. Or just being accused of certain things that they probably don't want to be accused of. But in this video, we're going to get to the bottom of some stuff, why the culture itself. And I'm not going to give you the fake, glossy, washed over answer where it's mad sanitized. Yes, I'm going to try to keep it as smooth as possible. But I want to talk to Drake fans. Sometimes you just got to listen. You know how when you're in the barbershop, right? And they're keeping it 100. They're just being a buck with everything. And you got the barber, he's talking, but he's measured because he's a professional. He's still going to give his opinion. Then you got that hotep over there who got the dashiki and the little African cap. He's going to keep it all African-American, straight up, just 100%. All black power, right? Then you got another guy over here who just thinks he knows everything about hip-hop. You just got a whole array, and that conversation going to get loud. It's going to be, by the time it's done, it's 10 guys just screaming and yelling at each other. And it's going to be raw and uncut. And that's what I'm going to do in this conversation. I'm fighting through a little ear infection. So it might take me a little longer to get there, but we're going to get there, gang, I promise you. But what I want to say about this is really mostly for the fans. They've been doing a lot of talking. They're doing zero listening. And I feel like Drake, if he would have just listened 10 years ago to the culture itself, we wouldn't be here. I think the fans don't listen to anything. I think Drake doesn't listen to anything. And I feel like we got off on the wrong foot. I want to start this. Like I said, this video is going to take a toll. We're going to be here for some time. So if you want to check out or pause it for a little bit, that's fine. Or if you want to scroll to something else, that's fine. But the people that want to rock with me, just understand it's going to be a while. But I do want to discuss this because I think some of this stuff just needs to be said. And I think some of these people that are staunch Drake stans, they probably won't listen, but I'm going to say it anyway. And they're going to get in the comments and give their opinions. But the culture, right, which started with us, the Black Americans, we started this culture back in the 70s in New York, right? The 5 boroughs. There is some arguments about where it started, who started what, Kool Herc, this, that, and the third. We get it. Kool Herc's sister threw a party. We know the story. But hip-hop wouldn't be where it is if it didn't evolve into this creation, good, bad, or indifference of what we got today in 2025. Drake is a part of that culture, just as KRS-One, Nas, Kendrick, LL Cool J. A lot of these guys built this thing to where it is. You wouldn't have Drake being a billion-dollar entity that he is if it wasn't for LL Cool J, Beastie Boys, Public Enemy. There are so many pieces to this wheel, which created this culture. The culture was built around what we were going through in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. After 2000, it became a manufactured thing. It wasn't even the streets anymore. It was what people assumed the streets were. They had this caricature of what the streets were, and hip-hop became that caricature. Just gonna be honest. By the time of early 2000s, especially mid 2000s, it wasn't even the streets anymore. It was just some formula that the labels had cooked up, and they started picking rappers based on who fit that box the most. Just gonna be honest. Very few bright stars broke through that mold, but for the most part, you had a certain look. You know what I'm saying? Like you could point out a rapper what he was supposed to look like by 2010. They had a perfect picture of what he was going to look like and what he was going to rap about. It became, you didn't even need to be good at it no more. You just needed to rap about what was in that box. Right? Your cup of lean, your gold chains. Half the time you got no shirt. You get tats everywhere, even on your face. A lot of the guys were dreaded. Some of them weren't. But for the most part, it was just a certain look. Just gonna be honest. You got signed off your look and your ability to perpetuate the myth of what a rapper was. Now, I say all that to say this. That became culture as well. So we're going to talk about the culture from the beginning, which is what I'm one of them people from the beginning to where you get the 2015 creation of what they felt the culture was. All of that is combined into where we got that Drake was hated by pretty much a lot of that from the beginning, the middle, and the end, because he never fit the mold of a lot of these things that we as the culture had become accustomed to seeing as a rapper. Now, I say all that to say Drake is a very big part of his own hate from the culture because a lot of things he did and did not do. I'm telling you, this conversation is going to be brutally honest. Some of it's not going to jive well with some of the things you feel about race, some of the things you feel about hip-hop itself, some of the things you feel about Drake himself. But I want to go back to the beginning, 1986, when Aubrey Drake Graham was actually born, and we're going to talk about his story. Like I said, this video is going to be a while. So go get a snack, go get a drink a shot for me, and let's have this conversation. So let's start at the beginning. Aubrey Drake Graham, born October 24th, 1986, known as Drake, is a Canadian rapper, singer, and actor, named one of the greatest rappers of all time by Billboard. He is credited with popularizing R&B sensibilities in hip-hop music. So let's just start there. Stuff like that, one of the greatest rappers of all time by Billboard. That is a problem. That's one of the reasons why the culture hates Drake. Stuff like that. Being named one of the greatest rappers of all time. Now, let's just start here. The culture is going to hate a rapper that has been outed for having ghost rap writers, but being named one of the greatest rappers of all time. That is a problem. That is problem number one, where we must start this whole thing. Why the culture, including myself, we had an underlying hate for Drake from the very beginning. Now, we all gave him a chance. We all gave him a chance. And for a time, it was good. But right there, being named one of the greatest rappers of all time, when we clearly know you have ghostwriters and we clearly know you lean very heavily on your R&B stylings and sensibilities in hip-hop, which, let's just be honest, hip-hop is very sensitive about its relationship with R&B. First of all, R&B did not have a relationship with hip-hop. Because for one, they thought we were stealing from them, because most of our biggest hits from the Sugar Hill Gang on were samples of real R&B music that we took the music from it and rapped over it exactly like it was. Diddy was one of the most criticized purveyors of this taking samples. At one point, it reached a fever pitch where they were starting to say, we need to get Diddy out of hip hop, because he was sampling anything. He was sampling Sting. He was sampling Jackson 5, whatever it was. Diddy would loop it, do the bare minimums to it, and then he's out here, can't nobody hold me down, can't nobody. So it became a very sore spot in hip hop with R&B. I'm just going to be honest. And in a lot of ways, hip hop was looked at as too hard for R&B, and R&B was looked at as too soft for hip hop. You would get your collaborations. I believe one of the first collaborations was Jody Watley and Rakim. You had a couple Houdini. It was a couple R&B and hip hop collaborations. Very few. Shaka Khan with Melly Mel, but they worked when they were more on the hip hop side, not the R&B. So we had to hip hop those things to make them palatable, and that's where the merging began. Now, some people would say you had groups like Jodeci and Guy and a lot of that, the New Jack Swing stuff, which merged hip hop and R&B, but it was always touch and go, and you never really had a connection where you looked at someone who did a full R&B album with a little bit of hip hop as hip hop. I'm just going to be honest, and that's what Drake started doing, almost full R&B albums with a little bit of hip hop. And he was one of the first people, if we're going to be honest, to catch a pass for that. Real hip hoppers didn't like it, and a lot of people in the culture didn't like it. We tolerated it because he had a lot of hits on those albums where he was able to merge R&B with hip hop. And you're going to say, Charles, there were people doing R&B and hip hop before, but not like Drake, let's just be honest. And they would touch here and there, but you really weren't allowed to be a hip hopper. I know Heavy D tried it, but if we're going to be honest, I'm just going to be honest about Heavy D's career. Heavy D's career took a steep decline because it was a little bit too much R&B and reggae. Diddly, 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 dee. A lot. It was considered too soft. Let's just be honest. I told you this conversation gonna be brutal. And a lot of the hip hop artists before Drake that tried to do a little bit too much R&B were pushed out of this game. And I'm waiting for somebody to prove me wrong in the comments. So Drake was one of the first people that was accepted with this hip-hop R&B blend, if we're going to call it that. But the culture didn't like it at the core from the very beginning. I'm talking 2009, 2010. The culture was like, I don't like this dude. Now, I told you, a lot of people accepted it, and I'm going to get into that. We're going to get into why Drake was accepted. It was a lot of radio play, a lot of greasy palms, a lot of DJs got paid, and a lot of pieces was shuffled around. You got to remember, Drake was the great white hope. I'm going to just be honest with you. There was a lot of people, I'm not going to say of what, but there was a lot of people with a lot of money that needed Drake in that game to say, we got a spot now. Okay? It was quite a few Jewish people that was really, really invested in Drake's career. Let's just say that. This is not racist or anything like that, but this is just saying that Drake was considered. Go back to the interview with Drake and what's this guy? Peter Rosenberg. Openly discussing that Drake would be the first Jewish rapper to really get on, and how much they were rooting for him and they were making a space for him, a lane that was uncharted. He had a lot of push behind him in that lane, gang. And admittedly so, there weren't a lot of rappers of that ilk before him. I think MC Search of Third Base had moderate success in hip hop. There was no one on a high level in that lane. It's just a lane that wasn't there. Somebody could correct me in the comments of someone that was huge, that played into that lane, into that market before Drake. There was a lot of factors that were pushing for Drake to be accepted on both sides of the pen. No one had ever catered to that demographic ever before Drake. Let's just be honest. This is going to be brutal. I'm telling you some shit that the culture has not expressed as to why they had an issue with this guy. Let me continue. Drake first gained recognition by starring as Jimmy Brooks in the CTV teen drama Degrassi, The Next Generation. It was on the air from 2001 to 2008. Before embarking on a recording career with the mixtapes Room for Improvement in 2006 and Comeback Season in 2007 and So Far Gone in 2009. So, those are the first beginnings of Drake. You got to remember, Drake is a Canadian rapper. Right there, that's strike one. Let's just be honest. Ain't many Canadian rappers that we're going to respect in the USA. But he had beat those odds, and we're going to talk about that. Let me continue with Drake's early life so we'll understand what he was up against and what the culture looked at as egregious and unforgivable acts, but they still rode with him. And this is how we got here to this battle where Kenny pretty much put the slap on Drake as a viable hip-hop artist. Let me continue. Drake's early life. For high school, Drake attended Forest Hill Collegiate Institute and Vaughan Road Academy. Aubrey Drake Graham was born in Toronto, Ontario. His father, Dennis Graham, is an African-American drummer from Memphis, Tennessee, who once performed with musician Jerry Lee Lewis. His mother, Sandra Sandy Graham, is a Canadian, I don't know how to say that, Ashkenazi Jew who worked as an English teacher and florist. Graham performed at the club Blue Note in Toronto where he met Sandra, who was in attendance. Drake is a dual citizen of the United States and Canada, the former derived from Graham. In his youth, he attended a Jewish day school and became a bar mitzvah. I thought a bar mitzvah was a thing, like a party. So it says he became a bar mitzvah. I don't know what that actually means. But let me just say this. That's not the normal upbringing of a regular person in the culture. And you got to understand where the culture started from. The culture, for lack of a better word, was started in the ghetto, the hood. And most of the people that we celebrate and uplift are from that same culture. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. 98% of them are black. The rappers, I'm not talking about the label heads or the beat makers, the music. I'm talking about the rappers themselves who we put in these top 20 lists, top 50 lists, the rappers we go out and spend our money on. 98% of them are black and from the hood. It could be 95%, whatever percentage you want to put on it. But a high percentage of them are in the hood. A high percentage of them represent the hood in their music. They are not from Canada with a white mom that was an English teacher and a florist and a black dad who lived thousands of miles away. So let me continue. That's just where we're stacking these things of why. And I know Drake fans, just be quiet. Sometimes just listen. I know we want to talk. Drake fans, they only listen to interject. Just be quiet for a while. Just listen. Sometimes listening is the best thing. So let me continue. Drake's parents divorced when he was 5 years old. After the divorce, he and his mother remained in Toronto. His father returned to Memphis, where he was incarcerated for a number of years on drug-related charges. Dennis was out here. And I think some of Drake's ways come from his dad. I'm just going to be honest. Let me continue. Graham's limited finances and legal issues caused him to remain in the U.S. until Drake's early adulthood. Prior to his arrest, Graham would travel to Toronto and bring Drake to Memphis every summer. This is according to Dennis Graham. Graham claimed in an interview that Drake's assertions of him being an absent father were embellishments used to sell music, which Drake vehemently denies. So, I know some things about Drake. I've listened to quite a bit of Drake's music, and I'm going to tell you, I don't know a lot of his musings about his dad, but according to this, Drake was making it like his dad was an absentee father. Now, that could be used to toughen up your image. A lot of people say 50 Cent getting shot 9 times raised his image, which it did in the hood. Something just like, I don't know if y'all remember a female rapper named Boss from California, who was probably, I'm just going to be honest, one of the hardest sounding rappers in the history of rap. She came out with a song, I believe it was called I Don't Give a Fuck. Everybody in hip hop at the time bought that song, bought that single, bought her album. Boss was harder than 95% of the gangster rappers at the time. Her record was absolutely incredible until some writer came out and said, yeah, she did an expose on Boss. And she put it in a paper. And she said, Boss didn't grow up in no hood and no gang. Boss is like a two-parent home in like the suburbs. And she went to college. This girl was never in any type of gang or any type of trouble. So the entire image is fraudulent and it's fake. And Boss's career was over. The culture don't like that. Now, I'm not saying that this is what Drake did, because kids remember things differently. A kid is going to feel like his dad wasn't there. If he only saw him in the summertime, he's going to feel like dad wasn't there. His dad is saying, I picked him up every summer. That's a lot for a dude in Toronto with limited means. You're going to go get this little kid every summer? We can say that's where Drake's black side came from. You ain't getting that in Canada. Let's just be honest. So right here, depending on who you believe, I'm going to say Dennis is telling the truth. He was getting them every summer, taking them to Memphis, right? Which could have fostered his love for hip hop, even though Memphis has a different hip hop scene and they weren't on hip hop the same way that he is. His heroes were the Clips and Jay-Z. I'm sure Memphis, they had different heroes and different style of music down there. Just going to be honest. They were boogieing into something else. But it fostered his black side. Now, Drake apparently in his music was saying that his dad wasn't there. That right there is street cred. Sadly, being a young black kid whose dad wasn't there is a story that a lot of us can relate to, a lot of us can get behind. My dad wasn't there for one reason or another. Who knows why? But at the end of the day, that's something we can relate to. And then when you're early, you're this very light, let's just be honest, light-skinned dudes, they got a lot to prove before they even open their mouth. If you see a light-skinned basketball player, before he shoot one basket, they sleeping on him. And that almost any situation. Just gonna be honest. I told you it's gonna be brutal. Drake being light-skinned, and his demeanor probably wasn't so tough back then. I'm 100% because I saw him talking and stuff when he first entered this game. He wasn't acting tough at all. This was a nice, clean-cut Jewish kid asking his mom, did she pick him up a sandwich? Remember the little video? Mom, you didn't get me the roast beef sandwich. Like, this kid wasn't that kid, gang. And to be fair, nobody's like that all day, right? Nobody's like that. You're young. You're not puffing out your chest all day anyway. But I'm just telling you, if the culture is following this, and they're seeing him say his dad wasn't there, and then his dad pops up saying, dude, I had you every summer. I was bringing you to Memphis. The culture don't like conflicting stories. We want to believe you. And when we can't believe you and we can't trust what you're saying, and we got your dad saying one thing and you're saying the other, we start to shifty-eye you. We start to side-eye you. So right here, we've got a conflict. Did your dad get you every summer, or was he a neglectful dad? It's stuff like this that starts the slow burn of this dude might not be 100%. I'm just gonna be honest. So let me continue. Drake was raised in 2 neighborhoods. He lived on Weston Road in Toronto's working class West End until grade 6 and attended Weston Memorial Junior Public School until grade 4. What? That don't make no sense. But I guess he was in 1 to the 4th grade and he was in 1 to the 6th grade. I guess he was going back and forth. A lot of us do that. It happens. You know what I mean? Playing minor hockey with the Weston Red Wings, Drake was a promising right winger reaching the Upper Canada College hockey camp, but left at the behest of his mother following a vicious cross-check to his neck during a game by an opposing player. So let me start there. For better or worse, the culture, a lot of us that's buying these CDs and cassettes, we only delve in certain things, like certain sports. We delve into football, basketball, and a little bit of baseball, but let's be honest, none of us are into hockey. We didn't grow up in hockey. Yes, some of the listeners who will be purchasing your music and some of your soon-to-be fans are into hockey. But that's not a cultural thing. I'm just going to be honest. So Drake grew up playing hockey and he was pretty good. Right? The closest we came to hockey was that Onyx video. I think it was Shut 'Em Down remix with 50 Cent's first video. They're going playing, they're sliding on the hockey. They're doing all kind of wild stuff. It's a make-believe video. They're playing hockey. We know these niggas ain't never seen no hockey. They never been to no hockey rink before. As far as I know, I can't imagine Onyx, any of them playing hockey. But that's the closest we got in the hood. It was a fabricated concept to make a rap video. But for the most part, that's not a hood thing. That's not a cultural thing. This is another thing that Drake is out of touch. And it's none of his fault. He's in Canada. They play hockey, but we don't. American hip-hop culture, we don't know nothing. If you tell, give me $1 million and name one hockey player, everybody's going to say Wayne Gretzky. We ain't never watched this dude play one time. I'm just going to be honest. I know some exceptions to the rule. Some of you out there, well, I love hockey. I love the Toronto Blue Jays. Like some of you love it. I grew up in D.C. Never once watched the Capitals. Never. We don't watch hockey. I'm just going to be honest. So this is another thing that's out of touch with what we do. He played it. He could have been a great hockey player. Now think about this. If I'm in high school and I love hockey, and my mom tells me to quit the hockey team, and that's the only reason I left hockey, I'm really a hockey fan. And a lot of stuff that we revere, that tends to show who we are. Like, if I'm a basketball head and I'm a football head and I'm locked into the culture, a lot of things happen in those sports that the culture can relate to. A lot of the touchdown dances, a lot of the big games, a lot of things that on an American level, we're going to relate to as a culture. The culture can relate to this hockey stuff. So right there, you're already alienated by the culture. I'm just going to be honest. I told you it's going to be brutal. I know you're saying, Charles, who cares? Who cares if we play hockey? I'm just telling you, while he was playing hockey, we was playing basketball. We were playing football. So that right there is a disconnect. I'm just being honest, gang. It may be a small disconnect, but it all adds up in the end. Because a lot of times we're learning from each other while we're playing hockey and football, cultural things of how to act and how to be and what to take serious and what not to take serious. There's a certain way you act out there on the basketball court with other dudes of your kind so that they don't punch you in the mouth. You know what I mean? And a certain way we talk to each other and certain ways we act to each other on those basketball courts and football courts that you're not getting on a hockey rink. So there's a disconnect right there. Let me keep it moving. He moved to one of the city's affluent neighborhoods, Forest Hill, in 2000. When asked about the move, Drake replied, "We had half a house we could live in. The other people had the top half. we had the bottom half. I lived in the basement with my mom on the first floor. It was not big and it was not luxurious. It was what we could afford. And I did that. My mom she didn't buy a house. She rented out a house from the owner. He was on the top floor. We was on the bottom. We had 2 levels. That's life. Everything don't always be, we got this big luxurious thing. We all have things that we had in life that made us who we are. This sounds like stuff that made Drake who he is, and we never really hear about these things. What I'm trying to tell you is Drake had issues that are very relatable if he were to talk about them. I'm not talking about once on a random mixtape in 2009, which is what a real Drake's going to say. He talked about the Western home. Like, they're going to have all these stats, but they're not current common knowledge. Like, we know Jay-Z's struggle was Marcy Projects, right? We know what his mom went through. We know that his dad was never around. We know this stuff. We don't know this stuff about Drake because as his career blew up, he stopped telling you the little details that could have made him more endeared to the culture. It became more, I'm just trying to make big records. I don't care about all that little stuff that you think you want to know about me. Go hear track 13 on some random, I said it 4 years ago. Like, that's not how this works. Your struggle is part of who you are and what makes you. You can't just abandon that. And the people that want to hear that and that's going to endear to you and like you in this culture, that's why they like Kendrick. Because no matter how many times he told you the story, there's 100 other stories of pain and progress in there, and he's going to never stop telling you. And this is why the culture started to side-eye Drake. The hockey-playing kid from Toronto who acts like his dad wasn't around, but he barely even talks about his dad at all. We see his dad online more than we hear about him. Right? We see Dennis all the time. But if you listen to Drake's music, this nigga don't exist. I'm just going to be honest. And I know some Drake fan is going crazy right now. He talks about his dad. He talks about his uncle. He talks about his aunt. He mentions little blurbs, right? Like, I love the line, and this is just random, right? On Started from the Bottom, which you could say whatever. I know it's controversial, right? But asking me where the keys at, where the van, like, little shit. We got to get little nuggets. Like, this dude was getting harassed to bring the car back like everybody else. That's relatable. I gave you the keys, told you bring it right back. I don't know if somebody else wrote that or not, but that, to me, you can relate. We, the culture, relate to that. Everybody thought Started from the Bottom was about them. I'm just going to be honest. We realize there's a lot of stuff with these songs, and we're going to get into all that later, but relatable lyrics. And yes, the Drake fans are in the comments. They're not listening. They're just responding. No, he has relatable. He's an emo. I got into it with my infamous brother-in-law. Told me, why can't, when he's emotional, you tell him he's too emotional. And then when he's not emotional enough, it's not about just being emotional. It's about relatable. Your struggles make you who you are. If someone else is writing your raps, you got to tell them a portion of a struggle, but they're not going to get the whole struggle. And then when you're focusing on just making #1 records over and over, you're the machine now. You got these big ass deals that you got to fulfill. You're not the same anymore. And people aren't getting who they thought they wanted to get when you were, I say this all the time, pea coat Aubrey. The little light-skinned dude with the pea coat. Y'all remember the blue pea coat with the partner's hair, if I'm not mistaken? With the autumn leaves in the background. We thought we were getting, and I say this all the time, I'm going to say it again. We thought we were getting a different rapper. We thought we were getting like a Fonte, which a lot of people say Drake stole Fonte's flow and everything. Drake used to love these rappers. Drake, some of the people that Drake used to idolize and love are exceptional artists. He really is an artist at heart, but he lost it somewhere with all these big moves that he had to make. Let me continue. At age 10, Drake appeared in a comedic sketch where he aired, which aired during 1997 NHL Awards following a riff of Martin Boudoir and Ron Hextall and their record as being the only goalies to have scored multiple goals. We don't know nothing about none of that. We are not hockey heads. We don't watch hockey. Stuff like this we cannot relate to. This is probably common knowledge to him and the people in Canada, but the culture does not accept this. I'm just being honest. I stumble through them names because I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So you're coming from a different culture trying to insert yourself. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. He attended Forest Hill Collegiate Institute for high school and attended Vaughan Road Academy in Toronto's multicultural Oakwood Vaughan neighborhood. Drake described Vaughan Road Academy as, quote, not by any means the easiest school to go to. During his teenage years, Drake worked at a now closed Toronto furniture factory owned by his maternal grandfather, Reuben Shear. Drake said he was bullied at school for his racial and religious background, and upon determining that his class schedule was detrimental to his burgeoning acting career, he dropped out of school. Drake received his high school diploma in October 2012 at age 25. Says, see, this is real shit. And I'm sure a Drake fan could pinpoint me to track 18 of some miscellaneous verse that he said 2 lines and it's supposed to equate and knock all of that shit out. This is real shit. This dude is a college dropout that got bullied in school for being Jewish and for being half white. Eminem would have tore this shit up. I'm just going to be honest. Eminem would have ate food off this for 15 years. This right here, I'm not telling him to be Eminem. I'm just telling you, your struggle and pain is what the culture, we feed it. Because hip-hop is struggle and pain at its core. Once it became corporate and it became about numbers, which is all they seem to care about, they're online every day. It's number 1. It's going to be number 3. And we got to get it to number 1. He did 15 million streams. They don't care about this shit at all, gang. I'm just going to be fucking honest. See, right here is where the brutal part comes. These Drake fans don't give a fuck about this culture. This nigga has enough here to eat off 15 albums. He's a college dropout that got bullied. The people don't respect him. They don't like him. He's a mixed breed. Jewish people don't succeed in rap. Name one outside of him that succeeded. You're going to find about 5. I get it. But this guy's level, no. This guy got everything stacked against him. He's some hockey playing white boy from Canada. But all he seemed to rap about is girls and money. And his fans don't care. He just dropped the album at the work. Listen, I'm just going to be honest. After this battle, after the shit, Kate, I said about you, you could have fell back. Listen, this nigga could be the king of hip-hop right now. If he would have fell back for a year, wrote an album with all this shit in it, and just got super real and made some banging ass music. I'm not telling him to be no sad ass motherfucker, but what I'm telling him is you are not living up to the potential. This is why Kendrick is on top right now. People are finding this guy. People watch the Super Bowl and they can't get enough of him. Drake fans, shut the fuck up and listen. Shut the fuck up. I know y'all motherfuckers is going crazy right now, but if you're still here at all, just fucking listen for a second. They're finding this motherfucker K-Dot in droves. They cannot get enough of this guy's story. Drake is selling R&B music. We understand that. He's going to always have numbers because he's made some of the biggest pop records in the world. But in the hip-hop culture, that nigga is cooked. We're not talking about no fucking fake ass numbers that you can fake up and down. Right? Remember J. Cole and Drake went in the store together, buying each other's first album, stacks of the albums. Well, they do that in bulk, my nigga. I'm just gonna be honest. These labels play a lot of games. You guys are stuck on what number it came out with at number one. It did 250, it did 350. Nigga, fuck that. That shit is not the culture. And you guys don't fucking listen long enough. You're online all day typing about how many units it sold. Motherfucker, he's fucking Michael Jackson right now. His old stuff is going to sell. I'm talking about why the culture can't stand this nigga, and they never really could. We tolerating him. He made a lot of big records. He sold a lot of units to a lot of white kids. I'm just gonna be fucking honest. And I know a lot of us, we jacked with a lot of these songs because they were concocted with a formula that we liked already. And they put them with a lot of features that we already was rocking with. And anybody that had any potential that was on the come up, he's hopping on the shit like a bunny rabbit and making it like he's doing them a fucking favor. So no, this wasn't a dude in front of the culture. He was cosplaying and imitating the culture. But we're going to stay focused before we get to that brutal honesty shit. But these Drake fans don't want to hear this shit because they know he's never going to change. So they got to defend the man that they got right now. But I'm here to tell you why he was never going to win a cultural battle. Let's get into his career. From 01 to 09, career beginnings. Age 15, Drake was introduced to a high school friend's father, an acting agent. He found Drake a role on the Canadian teen drama series Degrassi, The Next Generation, in which Drake portrayed Jimmy Brooks, a basketball star who became physically disabled after he was shot by a classmate. When asked about his early acting career, Drake replied, "My mother was very sick. We were very poor, like broke. The only money I had coming in was from the Canadian TV show." According to showrunners Linda Schuler and Steven Stahn, Drake regularly arrived late on set after spending nights recording music. To prevent this, Schuler claimed Drake struck an agreement with the set security guards to gain entry to the set after recording to be allowed to sleep in the dressing room. Drake's first recorded song, Do What You Do, appeared on the End soundtrack, which was released by the End, the nighttime block for Noggin, and it was the network that the series was airing on in the United States. This is a dude that was hungry. He was broke. He was starving. His mom was sick. This writes itself. This is all what the culture eats up. This guy could have been a God-level MC if he really told his fucking story. I'm just going to be honest. And I know the Kendrick fans are out there like, fuck him, he's a fraud, he's fake. All that's true. But if we're going to tell the whole story, we're going to tell this shit right. This nigga's a high school dropout whose mom was broken sick. He had to go to work on his own to be an actor on TV to pay the bills in his house. His dad was like 8,000 miles away in Memphis, only picked him up in the summertime. I'm just telling the story, gang. And somebody got their claws in him and made it. Well, first of all, I don't think he's adept enough to fully express this anyway. Like I said, he's in the culture, but he's not in the culture because he's a million miles away playing hockey at some half white, half black school. He's getting his hip hop from cassette tapes and videos. That is not how you can get hip hop for real. You gotta be in it. You gotta be in the culture. You gotta walk these streets. You gotta smell this shit. You gotta touch this grass. You cannot get hip hop. You can love the music. You cannot get the culture from afar. I'm sorry. You cannot get the culture from far away. I had a lot of trips to New York. I had a lot of trips to downtown DC, to Howard Homecoming, when everybody from everywhere, every year, would come to Howard. Diddy got his start at Howard. Every rapper you've ever heard to has gone to Howard. Every singer went to Howard for them homecomings. Howard homecoming is these shit. I don't know what it is right now. Maybe they still do it, maybe they don't. But what I'm saying is, I touched the concrete. I was out there freestyling with people from LA, from Memphis, from everywhere, from Jersey. They would come to Howard homecoming, and we would just be out there making ciphers, creating all kinds of new and different ideas. I've done ciphers everywhere. I'm an MC. That's where my culture comes from. I've went late night shows, Brand Nubians, different people. I've seen a lot of things. I listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of hip hop. I've talked to a lot of people. You can't get this thing from just being in your basement watching Ymcmb raps. It does not work like that. So no, he's not adept enough. That's why he has ghostwriters who put that sauce and that seasoning on that shit. Right? But what I'm telling you is, if he was in the culture and touched the grass like he's supposed to, he would know how to use this stuff. Eminem is part of this culture. Eminem done 10,000 times more of cultural hours than Drake. I'm just going to be honest. I'm talking about before he was famous, not out. I'm talking about before. Eminem was at every battle. It was a different thing, gang. You can't blame Drake for his upbringing, but it's part of why the culture don't rock with him. He's inserting himself into the culture from afar. He doesn't understand it fully. That's why we got a guy that got offended by the verse of Kendrick, the fucking control verse. That's why we got this battle 10 years in the making, because he didn't understand that's Kendrick. Kendrick is supposed to say I'm the best, and he's supposed to call you out, and you're supposed to respond, not fucking bitch about it for 10 fucking years. This is why we are where we are. Let me continue. Lil Wayne, the founder of Young Money Entertainment, signed Drake to the label in 2009. So I want to continue before I get to that Lil Wayne thing. This guy was trying to grind to get where he was. He was coming in late trying to make music. So you got to give him props for that. That's a struggling artist. He knew he loved this shit enough to risk the one thing that was bringing him in his money to keep making music. I don't know if the music was good or bad. It probably was awful, right? It probably was trash. Canadian kid trying to rap. It probably was garbage. Why do you think Noggin would play? Noggin? This corporate TV station, you think they're going to play some real hip hop? It's going to be some, all right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be some bubble gum. But this dude was trying. He's putting in more work than the average dude. That's stuff he needs to be talking about. And I know the Drake fans like going crazy. Yo, he says it all the time on the whatever, an insert record. I don't hear a lot of it. I hear a lot of bragging about where he's at with his money and where he's vacationing to and what he's drinking. Right? The culture didn't need some sexy songs. We didn't need it. The Billboard charts and all that other shit that want that goofy shit, they love it. Drake fans love it because you're Drake fans. The culture ain't going to play that shit. We're talking about the culture right now. I'm just going to be honest. Right? We ain't talking about Bilbo Baggins at the beer hut chilling. We're not talking about him. We're talking about the culture. The video says the culture. This is why the culture don't like this guy, because at the worst time of his career, when he just had the most awful battle, he got himself destroyed. He backed out with the Hard Part 6 like a bitch, and then he comes back with some sexy fucking songs. It's soft, it's goofy. And this is why the culture don't like him. Lil Wayne, who is steeped in the culture, founder of Young Money Entertainment, signed Drake to the label in 2009. Being musically inspired by Jay-Z and the Clips, Drake self-released his debut mixtape, Room for Improvement, featuring Trey Songz and Lupe Fiasco. Salute to Lupe. Kick Push one of the, listen, when they talk about hip-hop in the future, and they started putting songs in a time capsule, Kick Push got to be in there. Just gonna be honest. Kick Push is one of the greatest rap songs in the history of rap. And we could fight. Kick Push is one of the greatest rap songs in history. Let me continue. In 2006, Drake described the project as pretty straightforward, radio-friendly, and not much content to it. Okay, I'm just gonna be honest. Shit. We talking about the culture. Why the culture hates this kid. That's the title of the video. We still here. I don't know who's still here. We talking about why the culture can't stand this guy. And this dude said, this is funny. I can't even say this with a straight face. He described the project. It's pretty straightforward, radio friendly, and not much content to it. Okay, I might edit this out. I don't know yet. Pretty straightforward, radio friendly, and not much content to it. Room for Improvement was released for sale and sold roughly 6,000 copies, for which Drake received $304 in royalties. 6,000 copies for an unknown artist is good. They might be embellishing that. I'm just going to be honest, but he's saying that they sold 6,000 copies out the gate. Let me keep this moving. I know y'all don't understand sales, but when you're an independent artist, no one heard of you, 6,000 copies is a lot of money. I'm just going to be honest. Not a lot of money, but a lot of units moved. It should have been way more than $300. He performed his first concert on August 19th, 2006 at the Cool Halls nightclub as an opening act for Ice Cube, performing for half an hour and earning $100. You can only get that gig being in Canada. I'm just going to be honest. Ain't no way in America going to let you open for Cube without you paying something. Like, no, ain't no way in the world. So that's like a little random, he caught a little break on that. In 2007, Drake released his second mixtape comeback season, which was everybody's like, yo, you heard this kid in the peacoat thing on. Released his mixtape comeback season. Released from his recently founded October's very own label, it spawned the single Replacement Girl featuring Trey Songz. The song sampled Man of the Year by Briscoe, Flo Rida, and Lil Wayne, retaining Lil Wayne's verse. The rapper invited Drake to Houston to join his Carter 3 tour. They skipped a lot right there because Drake was discovered on MySpace, allegedly by this guy, Mob Ties. What's this guy? What's this? What is this guy from Houston? His son, right? And why am I drawing a blank? Rap-A-Lot Records, whatever this guy's name is. His son allegedly found Drake on MySpace and contacted him, and he started actually shopping him. This is all the alleged story. So way before Wayne got a wind of Drake, somebody else found him, and he ended up in Wayne's situation, right? He invited Drake to join his Carter 3 tour. On tour, Drake and Lil Wayne recorded multiple songs together, including Ransom, Forever, and a remix to Brand New. In 2009, Drake released his third mixtape, So Far Gone. It was made available for free download through his OVO blog website. Now, let's just say this. This is another reason, and you're going to say this is unfair, Challz. He has nothing to do with this. But another reason the culture hate him, I'm just going to be honest. Who meets Lil Wayne and gets signed with one little 6,000 copy album out and one opening for Ice Cube? You somehow connect with Lil Wayne and you're on his tour bus, recording with him and becoming his artist. The culture's going to be like, what the hell? Who does that? How is that earning that? You drop one random album, all of a sudden you're on Young Money. You're touring on the Carter 3 tour with Wayne. The culture don't like fast come-up stories. I'm just going to be honest. They still trying to deal with, I would say they respect Big Sean's weird-ass come-up story than this. He approached Kanye outside of a hotel or something and started freestyling for him, and Ye liked him and wanted to sign him on the spot. They almost the goddamn same. They both just as goofy. That doesn't happen. Usually somebody's grinding for years. You're not stopping Kanye mid-stride and be like, yo, bust it. Yo, my mom's got a, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the same, gang. Like, so the culture wants to know you grinded for this. And yes, you're going to say he kind of grinded. You just said he was coming in late from the studio. He was working. All of this was pretty fast. Now, I can't, like I told you, you're going to say it's unfair. But the culture's weird. We want to hear that you put out 5 mixtapes, 2 albums. They were, you know what I'm saying? They want you to have Russ's story. They want you to be Russ. I put out every Friday I was releasing songs and no one was listening. They want that. They want you to be, you know, everybody hates Russ. Let's just be honest. I know, I get it. We all hate Russ. But Russ has become a plethora of information. And if you just listen to him when he's not being a douchebag, Russ is saying some real stuff. Russ says real stuff in his interviews. I'm just gonna be honest. Pay attention to Russ, but I know Russ is listen. He a tough pill to swallow. But people want that story to a degree. They still hate him, but they want that story of we were putting out music every week and no one was listening and we had to change. We had to figure this out. They want you to figure out the algorithm yourself. They don't want you to end up on Wayne's tour bus. I'm just telling you the culture. They want more of your story. Then I was rapping one day and I put out a mix CD and Wayne called. Like, they want more. And I know it's not fair. I'm just telling you what it is. In 2009, Drake released his 3rd mixtape, So Far Gone. It was available for free download on his OVO blog website and featured Lil Wayne, Trey Songz, Omarion, Lloyd, and Bun B. That's a lineup. It received over 2,000 downloads in the first 2 hours of release, finding mainstream commercial success from the singles Best I Ever Had, which I like. You got to think that beat is classic hip-hop, classic boom bap. Anybody saying it ain't just hating on Drake, that beat is fire. Best I Ever Had us thinking, yo, this kid might be, he might be a real one. They were smart. That was a smart song to release to the American public and the culture. Best I Ever Had was rocking in clubs. It's a good record. Now, I'm sure y'all know a lot more about the song. It's a lot of controversy. But every song of his got controversy. And some of you going to be in the comments telling me this, that, well, da-da-da. I get it. Do your thing. I'm just telling you that I like that record, all right? I'm going to leave it at that. I like that record. Like, it is what it is. And I know right nowadays you're not supposed to like you like a Drake record? Oh, my God. Like, I ain't tripping off none of that shit. Let me keep it moving. And successful. I just want to be successful. Okay. Both gaining platinum certification by the Recording Industry Association of America, the RIAA. And this is where it starts. It's like in the shot in the arm. You want heroin. Now you want it all the time, every day. They got the platinum certification. Now, oh my God. It wasn't like it just happened. This dude had a lot of push. You saw the lineup. Everybody on here was hot at the time. Lil Wayne was on there. Trey Songz, Omarion, Lloyd, Bun B. They was on fire. And Bun B is a touch for that realness for the culture. All right? So it wasn't like, it wasn't like just he stumbled into this was organized. This prompted the mixtape's re-release as an EP featuring 4 songs from the original as well as additions of the songs I'm Going In. That was a hard record with Wayne. And Fear. It debuted at number 6 on Billboard 200 and won the Rap Recording of the Year at the 2010 Juno Awards, what else would have possibly won compared to that? I don't know if anybody up for a Juno Award at that time was going to have that level of success to say, this is what I've done, right? I don't know what Cardinal Official was doing at that time. Due to the success of the mixtape, Drake was the subject of a bidding war from various labels. This is when labels used to go back and go crazy. Well, they still be doing bidding wars. Often reported to as one of the biggest bidding wars in year. You got to think, you got this half white, half black Jewish kid that is about to rip it up on the hip hop side. It's never been done. Hell yeah. If this was The Voice, all 4 chairs would be turned around. Yeah, come with me. Like, we don't have to do country, just come with me. Like, everybody wants them, gang. They want him at this time. This is going to pop. This ain't no maybe might. This is going to pop. He got both sides of the spectrum. They can take him any direction, and they did. Every single possible way, he did it all. That's why the numbers are there. He wasn't afraid to be vulnerable. He wasn't afraid to be hard. He's everything. He's do anything, right? So he's a valuable commodity. Let's just be honest. He had secured a recording contract with Young Money Entertainment on June 29th, 2009. Drake joined the rest of the label's roster on America's Most Wanted tour in July 2009. However, during the performance of Best I Ever Had in Camden, New Jersey, Drake fell on stage and tore an arteria cruciate ligament in his right knee, and that's what happened to that situation. So, I just basically explained a lot of things of Drake's come up in the beginning where we were side-eyeing him, but we hadn't yet decided, I just don't like this dude. A lot of people did. Like, I guarantee you, I can go back right now to 2010. There was a lot of people like, I don't like him. People in my comments every day, I never liked them. Like, it's just like, never, ever liked them. So somebody liked them. But people like myself, I'm used to giving people, I'm going to, until you don't, I'm going to let you do. You understand? I'm from a different era where we had a lot of different, culturally, a lot of different kind of acts. We had so many acts. We had weird stuff. We had PM Dawn. We had K9 Posse. You know what I'm saying? We had Skinny Boys. It was all over the place. And we accepted it all. And we used to buy rap based on the album cover. There weren't a lot of promotion for all this rap. We didn't even have a source yet. So we were from a different place. I would look at your cover and be like, that's rap. I bought Sir Mix-a-Lot's first album based on the cover. That's rap. Like, Organized Confusion's first album based on the cover. So we were open to a lot of stuff. Mantronics, which has very little rap on there, is from New York. They're rappers. It's more like breakdance music, but I used to play my Mantronics record every single day. And it was nothing hard about Mantronics. It was all B-boy rap. It was all just, if you don't know what Mantronics is, go look it up, Mantronics. So it's like we were more open to shit. So I was open to I didn't know what he was. I just looked at this light-skinned dude, look like he's more light-skinned than black. You understand? So I gave him a chance. I was like, let me see what he do. I told you I like the Best I Ever Had song. I listened to quite a other things. I said, let me see what he do. Because I'm from the era where, like, we had Curious George and all these different people. We gave them a shot, right? Adore. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, we gave them a shot. Beastie Boys. Mac Miller, he's more of a newer guy, but what's my guy? Everlast. We gave you a shot. We gave Cypress Hill a shot. It's Mexican rappers. That's what we doing. Love Cypress Hill, right? But that's not the algorithm. That's not what we were plugged into here, right? Even Kid Fraud. We listen to Kid Mexican, right? Like, I mean, he was Mexican or something like that, right? Even heard that for years. Kid Frost don't like black people. He's racist. Da. We still let him in. This is for what was it? La Raza, right? We listen to all of that shit, gang. I'm just going to be honest. So who am I to not listen to Drake? Right? My history's steep in this, gang. So yes, I gave him a chance. I let the acts and deeds lead me to where I am today. Because right now, you'll be hard pressed for me to listen to anything by Drake. But that's because it's fallen so far and it's got so fast to where we are now that I can't believe what he says and I can't really trust the things he says. So it's take a lot for me to listen to it without being extremely judgmental and extremely unforgiving. I don't find him to be trustworthy. I'm just going to be honest. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Drake's public image. Now we're going to talk about his public image and how the public perceives him and how we got to where we are. Drake's lyrical subject matter, which often revolves around relationships, have had widespread use on social media through photo captions and reference to emotions or personal situations. However, this content has incited mixed reception from fans and critics, with some deeming him as sensitive and inauthentic, and that is a fact. He comes off very contrived and inauthentic, and that's been for at least, to me, damn near 15 years. Drake seemed like, I don't know if this dude he really means that what he says. That's how a lot of us take it. The culture takes it like that. The culture, you can be good at this, but that doesn't mean you're really truly honest with being good. Like, you may just be saying stuff. This stuff can be formulaic, and you can capture the formula and just ride that wave for a few years. I'm just gonna be honest. Traits perceived as anti-ethical to traditional hip-hop culture. He is also known for his large and extravagant lifestyle, including for high-end themed birthday parties. He maintained his image in the early career by renting a Rolls-Royce Phantom, which he was eventually gifted in 2021. Now, a lot of rappers in the culture rent things and get things that they give back later. They get jewelry, they give it back, they get stuff to wear, to promote it. That is part of the culture. We are not going to act like that is not part of the culture. The Roots had a song called Never Do What, it's called What They Do. And they were literally mocking Biggie for renting that stuff. They were renting speedboats, renting cars, renting houses, making Biggie look bigger than he was. And Biggie was upset. Biggie was offended at the Roots, and he really was mad at the Roots. He was mad at Tariq, and he was mad at them. Mad at Questlove. He had an issue with them, right? And we knew what they were saying, because we knew a lot of the hip hop at that point in time. This was 97, from like 90, from like 89 on through. They started doing a lot of faking and starting to try to appear to be rich and to appear to have this stature that they didn't have. And we were aware. And the culture did not like it. I'm just going to be honest. The culture didn't like all that faking, all that acting like you had this and that. That's why when Redman went on Cribs and he's ironing a sandwich, he pulls out an ironing board and he's making a grilled cheese with an iron. They were like, this dude's real. Like, he really lived there, according to Red, right? I know it's a whole story and this and that and the third, but we like authenticity. And sometimes it was bad, because let's be honest, when Cribs went to Cash Money's house, Birdman's house, and they had a hot tub in the living room, we like, these niggas shouldn't have no damn money at all. Their house was awful. It looked like if niggas got money, that's what it would look like. We put a hot tub in the middle of and it's a mansion. You put a hot tub when you walk. It was weird. They had cheap furniture. They had rooms with no furniture. They had shit on the wall look like they got it from Family Dollar. I'm like, nigga, you got money now. Like, come on. I digress. So sometimes keeping it real is not really good, but when the culture decides you have kept it real, then we appreciate that. That's why we revere a certain amount of artists like Common and things that Black Thought and Pharoah Monch, people that really keep it real. We like that. And for somebody that's renting a Rolls-Royce Phantom, we're going to have an issue with that. And like I said, a lot of people do that. So let me keep it moving. The Washington Post editor Maura Judkis credits Jake for popularizing the phrase YOLO in the United States with his single The Motto, which stands for You Only Live Once. Drake later popularized the term The Six in 2015 in relation to his hometown, Toronto, subsequently becoming a point of reference to the city. June 10th was declared Drake Day in Houston. In 2016, Drake visited Drake University after a show in Des Moines in response to an extensive social media campaign by students that began in 2019. This is all a whole bunch of stuff about his career and da-da-da. But this thing about the Six, that's where he started to show love for his home city. That's what people want. I don't know how much of it. I'm sure every city has a hip-hop culture. I'm sure Toronto as much as anybody else has their own hip hop culture. I think I remember in the Source magazine. Remember when Source magazine used to go to every city and they would point out whoever was important in that culture. Every city had it. They would go there, and I believe, as a matter of fact, I believe Toronto, when they went to Canada, 2 of the crews started fighting. I believe 2 of the crews, I'm almost 100% that Toronto rappers started fighting when the Source was there to cover it because they were mad at who was being covered. And it's like a small crabs in a barrel type of thing where when they're coming just to get a couple people, every city going to feel like they got 50 people that should be on there, but they're going to pick who they pick, and that's what it is, right? Just gonna be honest, I remember, I kind of almost like I remember seeing footage of it and the aftermath of it. It's funny. But I'm going to keep it moving because basically we're just talking about how we got the image that we got with Drake. And to me, I feel like Drake's image was very, very cultivated. And I feel like it was very, I think the culture doesn't like when we saw what he was in the beginning, this really well-spoken, like I said earlier about he's mad his mom didn't bring him a sandwich, like his life was different. And now he's in Atlanta, right? Dancing with straight up thugs. And he's just making this hot boy music. And it's like, this ain't the guy we signed on with. We'll rock with it. And a lot of people love hot boy music, so they loved what he was doing. But it's a formula at that point. That is not you. That is not your culture. You've never lived in Atlanta. You don't act like they act. You don't do what they do. Drake is the one, let's just be honest, used to put the hard R on the N-word. And it's cringe, gang. The culture did not like it. They don't like it to this day. Drake said the N-word the way Eminem would say the N-word. It was rough. And you were like, oh yeah, this dude's a square. That means he was already in his 20s when he learned how to say the N-word. That's not very culture. And I'm just going to be honest, and I know you're going to say, Challz, this ain't fair. But if I am in my 20s saying the N-word with the hard R, I'm just going to stop saying it altogether. I'm not going to learn to put the A on it and then ramp it up and say it like I've been saying it my whole life. Can I be honest? Most people that say that word have been saying it since they was like 6, 7 years old. You don't learn that word at 25 and start repeatedly saying it over and over. At that point, you're a fraud and you're doing it for credibility. And a lot of his raps, this is just a fact to me, sound better and they sound more authentic when he throws that word in there and he knows it. A lot of times his raps sound like some white boy rapping and he'll throw that N-word in there because he's so-called mixed. And I know you're going to say, why you say so-called mixed? To me, you need both sides of it. And if you're saying the N-word with a hard R on it, you're not mixed, my dude. You're that. You're that. I think Drake should never use the N-word. I know Kenny said it, and a lot of people said it. I don't like how he says it like somebody that learned it. No, he got better. He got really good at it now. Nigga. He said like, this dude said like Eazy-E at this point. But again, I'm telling you why the culture don't like him. Because you could easily search up those old videos where he's saying it. Where he doesn't like when he said, there's an old video where he says he don't like the guys that speak like that. What do you say, Challz? There's an old video of him saying he don't like people that talk ghetto like that. This is why. This is seeds. These are years. These are years of seeds. And a lot of people they push this stuff away and they overlook it. The culture don't forget nothing. So we remember when you were saying the N-word with the hard R. And we remember that you were saying you don't like people that talk ghetto. Buddy, the culture's ghetto. I told you that the first 5 minutes in the video. The culture is ghetto. So when you say shit like, I don't like those ghetto, I don't like those hoodlums, you're not one of us. Drake fans, shut up. I need you to just listen. I feel like he should have been himself. No, he wouldn't have got the money. He wouldn't have got the #1 plaque. Well, he could have, right? You see G-Eazy out here living. G-Eazy don't say the N-word. G-Eazy's out here eating. He might have been on a lesser level. He might have just been a regular artist that could move units. He wouldn't have been the biggest artist in the world. But he started mimicking rappers that were bigger than him. And he started doing features with rappers that were bigger than him, like Lil Wayne. He always has a Jay-Z verse. But he has to match their energy when he gets on these records. So he starts to act like them. He's not like them. What, Lil Wayne? Ain't Lil Wayne from the projects? Ain't Jay-Z from the projects? They got a different perspective on life than Drake could ever have. But he's matching their energy. He's matching them N-word for N-word. And this is why the culture doesn't like him. They see through the facade. You're this clean-cut little kid who enjoys rap music. You're a fan of it. You buy rap memorabilia. In my opinion, the culture would love Aubrey. This white kid rapping about these problems that he's had in life, these struggles, but he's still going to persevere. He's still going to do his music thing, and he's going to come at it with authenticity. Artistically. He might have still got there and would have been one of the champions of this shit. But now he is almost, and here's where the brutal shit comes in, Drake is a laughingstock in the culture. I'm not talking about this fantasy world on Twitter where all we talk about is what the record sold. We don't give a shit about that over here. This is the culture. Drake fans, shut up. We're talking about the culture. The culture, he is a joke. This is the dude that got people putting pen to paper, their thoughts, and they got reference tracks of them saying it better than him. That version of Party Next Door, what's it called? A Ghetto Happy Birthday or something like that? Ratchet Happy Birthday? I could listen to that party version. I just heard it last year. They put it on Twitter. That shit sounds so dope. This nigga singing from his soul. Now, Drake's version is good, but Party Next Door version of Ratchet Happy Birthday, that shit hits. He's singing to us, gang. Like, he's singing to us. This nigga from Toronto, too, I guess. But that motherfucker's tapped in. Just gonna be honest, that shit sound banging. That shit was in my head days later. I was like, yo, this nigga, he's flowing on this shit. And Drake don't even understand the where these flows are coming from because he don't have them. So when I gotta pay you to listen to you harmonize and work it all out and figure it all out, put the whole song together, record it, and then leave it there for me to come in tomorrow, mimic everything you said and try to do it the way you do, the culture don't like that. That's why I was so devastated when Meek Mill came out that Drake had a ghostwriter. I'm sure the industry knew, but we didn't. And we thought it was the end of Drake, but you know what? That machine is crazy. They're not going to let none of that. They're not letting none of that stop this. And this dude, Meek, was not the right messenger because Meek allegedly was trying to get ghost written for his goddamn self. What'd you say, Charles? Yes. See, when you're in that machine and you want them hits bad enough, you'll consider things you would have never considered. You might take a ghostwriter your goddamn self. Meek was the wrong messenger. Because everybody would have assumed, oh shit, why was he crazy to mess with Meek? Meek gonna tear him up. And Meek was very meek at the end of that battle. Meek should have never lost to back. And Back to Back is a hard-ass record. Back to Back was, listen, that shit is one of the hardest. You can say what you want. That's a hard-ass diss record. I know it's hard to say and out your mouth to say Drake had a hard. Back to Back was a hard diss record. Meek was not ready for Back to Back, and Meek should have fell back and just made something hard. He didn't. He rushed some shit out, and he lost the battle. He wasn't the right messenger. We don't like a lot of the things that Drake has done and has become. And the culture will never accept Drake. If Drake makes music now trying to get in the graces of the culture, he might as well delete the whole fucking project. The culture's never going to accept Drake. Drake has done too many egregious things for the culture to be like, all right, we accept you now. Never. It's never going to happen. But he can continue his career. He's going to do numbers, which apparently that's all they care. They don't care if the music's even good, gang. They don't care it's good because they're going to make it good. He just put his voice on there. He could just come on there and be like, me, 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 me. They'll be like, yo, did you hear the me, me, me record? Oh my God, it's my... I got it on repeat. I fell asleep to it, woke up to it. I cooked my eggs and bacon to it. It's just going to be... Because they're brainwashed. They don't care. But the culture, we care. And you can keep that me, me, me shit in Canada. We care about being strong-willed with this, and we care about pushing it forward. And I know they do everything they can to discredit this guy from Compton, but this dude carrying the culture on his back right now. He woke up a lot of people that were sleeping. He woke up the West Coast. He woke up the East Coast. A lot of dudes spit. You saw Joey Badass try to come out, too much West Coast dick lick. He hurt himself with that, and I get that, but he was in the spirit of combat. Kendrick has reawakened this thing. His numbers are through the roof. And I know a lot of you are trying to spin it on bots. Ain't no bots, gang, because you don't understand this culture. This culture is going to captivate everybody when it's done right. It's going to captivate everybody when it's done right. That's why hip-hop is beautiful. That's why hip-hop became the #1 genre. And a dude from Toronto going to only look at the formula to make hit records. That's why he can never be Kendrick. That's why he will never be the GNX no matter what he makes. And if he does come close to being GNX, he's going to make another one even better. Because Drake not doing music for the culture. He hasn't ever done it for the culture. And that's why they hate him. Because he'll give you 1 or 2 good joints on there that the culture could possibly get behind. And then it's more of these, I Better Find Your Lovings and Hotline Bling, which he clearly stole. And we ain't even getting to the reason of the culture hating his thievery because they cannot stand a thief. We don't like a thief. And we know for a fact he stole Hotline Bling because that was my guy. What's his name? Drum. He had a record before that. Drake got on a remix of the exact same record, put it on the SoundCloud, and decided one day, I'm not going to make it the remix no more. I'm going to make it my record, and I'm going to take him off. And he stole this man's record. And it became the biggest hit of Drake's career. And this man got beat up for that because they beat him up for bringing up that happened. Drake had I ain't going to say goons. You know what I'm saying? Drake had whatever security team go and beat him up because he was exposing them. And this is stories like this all over the place. Quentin Miller got beat up. They're just running through this thing. But see, they know who to do that to. I don't know if y'all remember. They didn't do that to Diddy. Diddy gave him the 5-finger discount for doing some fuck shit. One of the few times you guys say Diddy was right. Diddy slapped the whole shit out this nigga for doing some fuck shit. Over a beat. No matter how the story goes, somehow, some way, Diddy sent the beat over to him, and he was supposed to put a verse on it and write Diddy's verse. Somehow, some way, it's conflicting stories, but at the end of the day, he didn't write the Diddy verse, or Diddy took too long, or whatever. Diddy didn't know a hit, and like 50 Cent say, Diddy don't know how to make hits no more. He slept on that beat, and then Drake put it out. 0 to 100 was supposed to be for Diddy, and I can hear Diddy on that. I'm just gonna be honest. I can hear Diddy on that. I can hear it. I can hear it. It sounds like Diddy should be rapping on there. Just gonna be honest. Diddy's trash. We know this. Diddy's a trash rapper, but he makes records with a certain sound, and I can hear Diddy on that. Allegedly, Drake put the record out without Diddy, and that's where we got the slap. Now, I ain't hear nothing about, and J. Cole jumped in the middle, I didn't hear nothing about them Toronto goons jumping on Diddy. And where was these Toronto goons when T.I.'s man allegedly peed on Drake's leg? Where was these goons at then? The culture don't like this wishy-washy stuff where you can beat up this guy, you go jump Quentin Miller or Drum, but you won't put hands on T.I.'s boy when you're in the middle of Houston. And that's why Kendrick says, don't let no man pee on you. You're going to die that day, or somebody else going to die. You ain't going to let that happen. When he's talking to his son on Meet the Grams, remember? The culture feels funny about stuff like this. And this is my thing. If you're just that kid that don't want violence and you let him pee on you and you stayed, you kept it civil because out of respect for T.I., then be that guy all the time. And nobody having a problem with you. Nobody is mad at when PM Dawn got threw off the stage. I forgot the fat guy's name. When KRS-One came in, because they said something in the article, which they say they didn't, the article twisted. Just a quick story. PM Dawn said something about BDP, aka KRS-One, in the article about it was the lyrical controversy all over again, And I guess they said something about KRS-One. So when KRS-One, he wasn't even supposed to be on the show. He was told that they were going to be there. KRS-One and BDP, and then went there. None of them knew they was going to do this because his brother Kenny Parker said we didn't know that he was going to throw him off that stage. But KRS-One went up there, snatched the mic on some camera, and BDP, listen, let me explain something to you. There's certain crews you do not mess with in New York, and the BDP and KRS-One was one of them. They was coming 50 deep everywhere. So it wasn't going to be that. So I'm just going to be honest. KRS-One and BDP, Wu-Tang Clan, even Jim Jones rolls 50 deep. There's certain people that they just roll a certain way. So if KRS-One went up on that stage, he threw Prince B, something like that. I think it was Prince B from PM Dawn. Threw him off the stage. Woo. Nobody. KRS-One got so much flack for doing that. I believe he had to push his album back because it was so much flack about him doing that. Now, had he did it to another gangster rapper, had he did it to, let's say, a Mobb Deep or someone, a Nas or something, it would have been a different story. But he threw a decidedly soft rapper off the stage, and the backlash was swift. It was extremely swift, and people were like, yo, that's some sucker-ish. Just gonna be honest. Yeah, some of us applauded it. Yeah, throw his ass on stage. But in the corporate world, he lost a lot. And in the media, he lost a lot. I know us on the ground was like, yo, he threw his fat ass off the stage. Oh, it's funny. But in the real world, they didn't look at it as cool because Prince B, if I'm saying his name right, hopefully it is, he wasn't no hard rock. Drake could maneuver this thing without all the beatings of people, and there's several accounts. If you're gonna be Aubrey Graham, the little half white, half black, soft kid from Canada, be that. We don't like you being both when we don't like you being tough here and there. And then when you're supposed to really be tough, this issue with this T.I. guy, whoever it was, oh, he was drunk and stopped peeing. I don't care what the hell. Me, everybody, we thumping in there. We thumping, and then T.I. brings it up years later like it's a joke. Ain't no fucking joke. At that point, I got beef with your ass. What's up? If you that nigga like you're acting like. I'm just gonna be honest. We like Drake with the melodies. We don't like him when he act tough. And this is the culture. I'm just speaking for the culture. These are all the reasons that they can't stand his ass. You can't be tough, and then sometimes you're letting niggas pee on your leg. I'm just going to be honest. It don't work like that. Either you gonna be tough-ass Drake that don't play no games, and Chubbs is crashing something every time. You ain't picking and choosing. Listen, you ain't picking and choosing, right? And say what you want about Tekashi 6ix9ine. Listen, that nigga stood on his shit. Listen, they got his ass in the bathroom at that gym. I know that. But at the end of the day, this dude was like, I'm gonna crash. Remember when he caught Meek Mills? It's all for show. But Meek Mills didn't do it. Meek Mills gonna do this and that and the third when he saw him. When he saw him, he's like, oh, you a fed. I ain't doing nothing. See, that's what I'm talking about. Switching up. If you're gonna be that every time. The culture don't like when you're not like that. And everybody can catch a beating. Like, they caught Tekashi ass in the bathroom. They tore his ass up. In a gym. Which, to me, I'm just going to be honest. You catching niggas in they drawers in the bathroom, and it's 4 of you. I don't know if you get points for that. I don't know if you get points for that. I'm just going to be honest, gang. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to be this tough guy, the culture don't like the wishy-washy shit. Right? Like when we heard Sticky Fingers had an issue with Kodak and Sticky ran, we don't want to believe that. Sticky denies it. Kodak saying they robbed them and did this and that and third. We don't want to believe that. Everybody can get got. But you can't act like a sucker if you acting like I'm Mr. Throw your guns in the air. We can't be both. And that's all I'm saying. The culture hates the fake tough guy shit. We hate the sleeping with the girls shit. And I know niggas act like bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks and we don't care about these hoes. Dudes really care. A dude could have met a chick that night. And a lot of these dudes don't want nobody touching her tomorrow. They talk tough, but a lot of these dudes fall in love that night and be all on this girl by tomorrow. So Drake is messing with girls that been with them for years, trying to bang them when he has a little perceived slight. He's still doing that shit. Like, he's whose daughter he just liked their picture. I think he liked Mos Def's daughter, and then he's like liking their picture, following them. Just goofy shit. I think he liked Kendrick's wife. Just mad goofy shit. Yo, slow down, gang. These are the things the culture don't like. I don't know about this pop world of pop divas, and maybe they like this shit. I'm explaining to you what the culture don't like. We don't like shady, unscrupulous niggas that's always trying to bang dudes' girls every time he has a problem with them. The real culture. I don't know about this nonsense we got in this little rap world where these rappers doing everything and anything they want. The rap world is not a real place. You see, they're always mad at each other. They're always mad. It's not a real place. Just gonna be honest. In the real world, dudes are killing each other for sleeping with a girl. Most of these deaths are over girls. So the rapper could fake like, oh, we just sleep with everybody. Maybe you do. But this stuff has real life consequences because a lot of these dudes don't take it lightly, and then they beefing. They're pretending that they don't like the girls, this and that. Or she's just a jump off. But then you're pillow talking, and now it's getting back all around, and now you're beefing with half the industry. So we don't like the faking like you don't like women and you're trading, you're sleeping them all around, this and that. The culture don't like it. Most of these guys love these girls that they're with. So when you sleeping with them and you're trying to hit them from, you're bringing out Rick Ross X and all that stuff bothers him. He's going to act like it don't. You're flying her out. She's putting the roses on her story. Oh, Drake flew us out. He going to hate that. He's going to act like he don't, but he deeply hates that. And the culture don't like that. It's funny. It's like it makes great rumors. But at the end of the day, it makes you look like an awful human being. All of these things combined makes you look like an awful human being. So that's a lot of things that people want to say, well, shit, Challz, that's a lot. And you're going to say, some of that's not fair because we all humans and we all make mistakes, and that's true. But I feel like in a lot of ways, Drake turned on almost all his people. And you're going to say, Challz, what you mean? It was 20v1. They turned on him. You sure? Because at every single story I look at, it goes back to Drake did something. Right? It's always a story, and it always ends up that Drake did it first. The story of Metro Boomin. He had a whole album ready to go. He didn't need the Drake verse. Drake throws him a verse anyway. Yo, here, my G, throw this on there. Like, dude, like, no, the album's done. You're not going to sum me. Like, I don't want it. And I'm sure it was some underlying thing that happened before that he was like, oh, no, I don't need this dude. I'm good. But allegedly, Drake got mad that he didn't put him on the album and a whole damn retaliation tour that he got to get revenge. The culture don't like this. They don't like this pettiness, this revenge for the slightest of them. insults. It's just, it's annoying after a while. We like our heroes to be like Nas. Right? You don't see Nas extenuating nonsense all the time and just petty get back all the time. Nas is classy. Nas will make an album and didn't do a video for every song on the album and just be to himself. He doesn't bother nobody. He just makes his music, which we love. Nas has just dropped 6 classics in a row. You can say whatever you want. There was a time Nas was dropping nothing. Nas just dropped 6 classics in a row. You can say, well, this one wasn't, this one was. I guarantee you, out of them 6, you're going to say 3 was. I'm saying 6. I don't care what you say. And we like our artists to be like that. They're just making the music. And they're talking about things that we can relate to. Gang, a lot of us are at home with our kids, with girls and wives and this and that. We can't listen to 7 or 8 records in a row about banging groupies and being on Molly and drinking lean. Like, we can't listen to that all day and night. It got to have some substance to it. And by record 8, 9, it starts to be like, yo, I don't even go to clubs. I don't be smoking hookah. Who is this for? I probably go out to smoke. Like, first of all, very rarely are we going somewhere to smoke hookah. But if it is, it's probably once a year, twice. We're not doing that every weekend. I know some of you lives are still like that, and that's okay. And that's who the demographic is. But a lot of us aren't living like that. We go out here and there. I go do stuff. I go do fun stuff all the time. But it's not going to be every weekend. If we're going out to eat, we're going to a restaurant. We're going to sit down, enjoy a meal. We will get drunk. I guarantee you. We're going to round the shots. We're going to down some alcohol. We're going to have a great time. But we're going to leave with our significant other, get in our car and go home. We're not going to do no threesomes. We're not popping no pills. We're not pulling out no fancy toys and working them with each other, doing no whole lot of stuff as a group. We're not living like these people. So their music doesn't make any sense to us. Some of the stuff that we listen to, it has to be a little more down to earth, and it needs to be a little more of what we're really going through. And I don't think Drake is providing that to us anymore, if ever. So the culture doesn't respond to music that doesn't relate to their lifestyle. And you're going to say, well, Challz, you listen to West Side Gun and Benny the Butcher and Pusha T, they talking cocaine rap. And I get it. I don't sell cocaine. But at the end of the day, entertainment is entertainment. I don't watch movies where it's all about, we went to the club and we did hookah. No, I watch movies that are entertaining. They're going to have a level of action, violence, sex. It may be cocaine, it may not be. But the rap music at this point is an outlet for grown-ups of entertainment. And yes, it's going to have some realism to it. But it's not going to be stuff that doesn't entertain you. If going to strip clubs entertain you, then that's going to be what you want to listen to. Me, I want to listen to dramatic, cinematic, lyrical displays. And a lot of artists I listen to, like Freddie Gibbs and people like that, are going to have lyrical displays. Doechii, Kendrick, different people, right? 38 Special. They're going to have a more darker. I like my entertainment dark. I'm just going to be honest to you. I don't want Kwame in the fucking polka dots. I know Kwame didn't deserve that. But I'm not listening to a lot of Kwame. I like my entertainment to be heavy with consequences. So when I watch movies, they're usually going to be heavy with consequences that you're like, wow, like a lot of shows I watch. I watch a lot of grimy shows, right? I'm in the middle of Raising Kanan. Kanan just came back, episode 1. I watch stuff like that, grimy stuff. Just it is what it is. I watch comedies too, but when it comes to this music, we want to be entertained. I'm just going to be honest, because we don't live like that no more. So we want to be entertained on a darker level. And I think a lot of the stuff that's surface level about females and just people who she cheated on me, that's not going to do it for me. That's not going to be. I'm with her. I'm with a chick of the bees. That's not going to. I don't want to hear that. With these happy-go-lucky beats, and it's all about. And it ain't even. Don't even. Stop saying it's R&B. A lot of this stuff, like this sexy songs, what I've heard is not even. It's like men trying to bang women with a beat behind it. It ain't R&B. R&B is. We got some issues we're talking about. We love and we hate and I can't believe you did it. Like, it's not this, it's not that. So I don't think the sexy songs for you was all that sexy. Just gonna be honest. So this is what I want to say. I feel like what we witnessed was a backlash of culture that Drake had no way of ever being able to compete in. Of the culture. Now, can he make big records with that machine behind him? Shit, anybody could. UMG's stocks are up like 8% of, like they're doing better than they've ever done in their ever right now with this battle. They just a battle. They have tons of artists. They have a big huge share of the world market. So all of this stuff is doing well. I mean, they got issues with actual streaming. They're always something they're trying to figure out. But at the end of the day, this stuff is doing major numbers. But the culture itself, we're watching and looking at and listening to different things than any of this. Drake has no business trying to be in this culture because he wants to be in the culture. He wants to be mentioned in the same lane and vein as everyone that we revere over these years. He's gone. He's done too many things to ever be considered in this culture. He might as well just make pop music the rest of his career because that's the only thing, because all he cares about is sales anyway. He doesn't need to do another rap song the rest of his life. Because for one, we don't know who wrote it, and for two, we just really don't care. We don't care if Drake raps ever again. Every time he raps, you see how fast they clown it. They pick it apart. He can say, Kendrick could write this shit. They'll be like, this shit is trash. If Drake says it, they'll say it's trash because they don't care. They don't like him. They don't respect him. His worldview is trash. This guy's a Jewish guy that never speaks on Jewish issues. He's a black guy that never speaks on black issues. He never sticks his nose out there. The culture cannot stand you to be silent. We do not like that you won't speak on these things. They hate it. You won't stand up for the government, for either one of you. Canada is in a real war right now with America over tariffs and everything else. You think Drake gonna speak out? You think Drake is going to say something about Trump right now? Or what they got going on, all these people they're firing, these layoffs? He's never going to speak on that. This is why the culture can't stand him. He's silent. He's silent. He never gives you the insight. It says he signed a letter saying they should cease fire in Israel or something. Like, you signed some random letter, probably 10 other people signed. Like, that's your big statement. Like, you signed a letter that there should be a ceasefire. Yeah, it should be a cease fucking fire. That ain't no fucking news. That ain't no big stance. Drake signed a letter that there should be a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. No shit. You didn't say nothing. You didn't put no post about it. You're making duck lips with bovrets in your hair. You're renting out nightclubs, sitting there gambling. The culture cannot stand this guy. I'm just going to be honest. You got to say something in this culture. Drake is literally, perpetually saying nothing. Over and over. He never grows up. He's a big-ass man-child, and all of his fans are getting younger and younger. He's doing streams with these white people that don't have nothing to do with hip-hop. How does Aiden Ross relate to hip-hop? In what world? Half the streamers he goes on don't even know who the hell he is half the time. They don't know his music. And he's running to these streams. He'll never get on a hip-hop stream, never. And I think they're doing something with, I think he's about to do something with academics just to shut people up, because we always say academics can't get an interview with Drake. I think he's about to do something just because. And not going to look like the biggest bitch sitting there with his fucking balls in his hands, just salivating over this guy, not asking him nothing really real. You know what I mean? And if you ask him whatever you ask him, he's not going to follow up the question. Even if it's the realest question in the world, he's going to let Drake say something or laugh it off. It's going to be the saddest, goofiest interview you've ever seen in your life. So, him not speaking on any issues, black or white or Jewish, is a problem. This is why the culture they don't like him. They can't believe him. They don't feel him. You don't know what he really thinks. You don't know what he really writes. You don't know what he really feels. Seems to only be engaged in making money and gambling money. You see him by himself smoking hookah. Who does that? I'm just going to be honest, gang. You're suing over a rap battle. Drake fans, shut up. Please. I know you ain't almost 2 hours in this video still trying to comment and complain. I figured y'all would have checked out about 35 minutes ago. Probably an hour. But if you made it this far in this video and you're going to try to tell me that he's suing his label, get the hell out the chat. He's suing because he lost a rap battle. The culture cannot accept this in no uncertain terms. You're suing because a dude out-rapped you and beat you and ruined your career. Let's just be honest. Drake's career is ruined. He did $247,000 on an R&B album that was supposed to be completely for ladies and completely for his demographic, and he only moved 247,000 units, and that was after these motherfuckers tried everything in the world. And that album is already that album was on Billboard for 1 week. And Tate McRae, if that's her name, beat him the very next week, and now Kendrick is back on #1 very week after that. This album was on Billboard for 1 week. And that thing was supposed to be sexy songs for you. He got more songs on the album than Party Next Door. And that thing still did a nosedive. The first album back after this battle, your first response, this thing should have did 500,000. Just off the hype. But they can't stand you. And the culture has permeated into society, and a lot of people in society can't stand you. That's why they're making jokes. That's why Will Ferrell is up there singing. They're not like us. He's singing that. Conan O'Brien is making jokes because you are culturally, and now you're universally a joke. All because from day one, you never understood this culture. You thought if you can just rap and get cool raps written for you, you would somehow be cool, but you don't know the culture at all. You don't know what we're going through. HELL, hockey sticks. We don't play hockey, gang. I'm just going to be honest. And I'm not trying to be mean or cruel. I'm just being factual. We don't relate to most of the stuff you're going through. Almost none of it. And you continuously show us that by the stuff you do. I don't know many guys who would do half the pictures you're taking, half the things that you post. The culture would never even allow someone to do it, but somehow you consistently do it and get away with it. Every time I look at these pictures, I'm like, good God. Every other week, the next week is worse than the last week. I'm like, this guy can't be, he posted that from his own account. That looked like somebody took that picture and he didn't know and they posted it. Like, you really posted these pictures you're putting up, gang? Is this a joke? I don't understand. And the culture don't either. We sincerely, I'm speaking for the whole culture. And I know some of these guys, a lot of these guys only like your money. A lot of these guys, our culture has fallen to that where we just respect money. And I'm going to thank Jay-Z and I'm going to thank a couple other people that got us really, really flashy. And we like that talk. We like that swagoo. We love it. But to the detriment now, because now nothing else matters. And that's where we are. The culture cannot stand if it doesn't stand for something. And a lot of the things that Drake stands for, we don't stand for it. We accept it, and some of it is culturally active because he's stolen it right from the culture. We're a lot of things, but we're not. We are a lot of things. Let me just say that. We are a multitude. We are not one thing. We're not this black fist in the air. That's a part of it, but it's not all one thing. It's just as ignorant as it is smart, but it's all part of the culture. And I think when you try to focus on one thing of the culture way too much, I don't care what it is. If you're trying to be too black, after a while, you're a hotep. You're just a caricature. If you try to be too drug dealer, you're a caricature. I don't think nobody can be one thing. And I think that's where we are with this culture. And I think Drake isn't enough of these things. I think his box is too small and his window is too limited. He's not seeing the big picture. He just sees the picture that gets the money. And that's where the culture has a disconnect with what he's doing and who he is as a person. So I don't know what else to tell you. The culture doesn't like the corny attitude. It doesn't like the ego. It doesn't like the absolute self-destructiveness of it, the drinking, the drug use, the gambling. We don't like that you perpetuate that to the children. We don't like that you're not writing the raps that you're portraying to have written. And I know I get it that you said they don't like me because I don't write enough. It don't take much to not like a person. You could get one rap written for you and people can have a problem with it because we think that you're saying these words and you're not. You got almost whole albums of other people's work. The Weeknd's work, Party Next Door work. At some point, the culture, I'm not talking about these fans that just want to hear do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. We talking about the culture. We love to hear wordplay. We love to hear a person's inner thoughts, but we want them to be your thoughts. And anybody that gets exposed, their career, I'm just going to be honest, doesn't last too long. There's only a few people that we even forgive for getting their raps written. Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, Salt and Pepper. It's a few people that we're like, okay, that's fine. Because we don't expect their stuff to be, oh my God, this is the most thoughtful things we've ever heard. No. But if we find out somebody's writing Kendrick shit, it's going to be a seismic shift in what we accept from Kendrick. Anybody. If we find out Jay's shit was written, if we find out Nas shit was written, anybody that gets their persona from another person, we're gonna have a problem with it. And that's it. I don't have really much else to say because I don't think there's much else to say. I think what we are seeing is a person who actually tried to turn to the culture and do a cultural battle and didn't understand the culture don't at all accept you. We tolerated you. I had to have a lot of conversations with a lot of people about, yo, you got to put him in your top 10. I've been saying for 10 years, he don't belong there. You can't put Drake in that top. I had to, a couple times, I had to try to placate and like pat people on the back and on the ass and be like, yo, okay, all right. Fine, we'll put him in it. But no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that no more. It's done. We're done with the divide. It ain't no divide. It's all in the middle. Everything is this what it is. He can't be in the conversation no more. The culture don't like him. He's out of the culture. It is what it is. I know the Drake fans like, you can't kick him out the culture. I didn't kick him out of shit. The culture kicked him out. That's why he lost his battle so poorly. He doesn't even understand the culture, that he should have never even made the Hard Part 6. And he should have never admitted that he lost. I don't even think Meek admitted that he lost. No one says they lost. You just move on with life. So the culture has booted him, and he deserved it because he was never really a part of the culture in the first place. He doesn't understand. You're supposed to put your struggles and strifes into written word. We got to hear that. Jay-Z does it. Everybody that makes it in this game does it. You can't go years and years and years and just make pop records, or the culture is going to let you go. And on that note, I'm going to let you go. CLBMG. Make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share, join the membership. Tell me what you think in the comments. If you watched the whole, it almost went 2 hours. If you watched it, let me know. All right? Make sure you buy one of the I'm Just Gonna Be Honest shirts. They down in the description. We got the shirts, all kind of merch in there, like doggy sweaters, hoodies, everything, mugs, aprons, everything you want. All right? I'm gonna catch y'all on that flip. Peace.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine.
CLB.